Hey everyone! My last video was about goblet feet. Well, this one is about goblet bowls. It's also about developing your shaping skills so that you will be able to make much more complex shapes in the future. Let's get started. I have often told my students that goblet feet are easy. It's the bowls that are difficult. This is because feet are simply flat, while goblet bowls come in a myriad of different shapes and are designed for different purposes. Learning to make bowls will quickly develop your shaping skills. The primary rule to remember is that as much shaping as possible should be done before the flare. Generally speaking, this means that narrower bowls are easier than wider bowls, because the wider the bowl is, the more shaping has to be done by the flare. If you watched the goblet foot video I posted previously, you'll recall that I said the setup bubble was the key to success. This is also true of goblet bowls. If you want to make this shape, your setup bubble should look like this. If you want to make this shape, your setup bubble should look like this. If you want to make this shape, your setup bubble should look like this. The most difficult bowls are wide shapes like the tazza, or low bowl, and the martini. These shapes require that the majority of shaping occur during the flare. The tazza and the martini are so difficult that they should each have a video of their own devoted to it, and so I'll be doing these in the near future. So today, I will make 3 bowls, from the easiest to hardest. The first one will be a champagne flute shape. This is a tall, narrow bowl with a narrow opening. I will be using pulled points for this bowl and will switch to 9.5mm handles for the second and third bowls. The first step is to create constrictions at the control points on either end. This serves to center and straighten the points and thicken those areas for more consistent wall thickness. Then, I heat and shape the bubble to create the general contours of the flute shape. I like to gently coax the bubble into the correct shape. It is better to make numerous small changes than it is to try to blow the perfect shape in a single heat. This way, I can respond to the behavior of the bubble and adjust accordingly. I never get the glass too hot. I prefer to get it just hot enough to move. This way, if I make a mistake, it is easy to recover from. Once I'm happy with the shape, I follow the same procedure as I did with the foot in the last video. I burn off the bottom point and collapse the end into a rounded shape with a thick spot in the center where the stem will attach. I add and shape the transition bit and attach the 6mm handle. Then I employ the same technique I used to deal with wobble that I used in the foot demo. Once the handle is centered, I turn my attention to refining the shape at the lip. I want to flare as little as possible, so I take a moment to tighten up the shape at the very top of the flute before opening it. I use a flame cut to open the end. I do it this way because there's a little unevenness in the wall there, and I want to be able to fix that before flaring. I open the end about halfway until there is a thickened lip. The lip is uneven because of the flame cut, but beneath the lip it is perfectly even. By rolling the lip down a bit, I can easily shear it off, leaving a perfectly even top to flare. The trick to shearing is to carefully heat only what you want to remove. The shears will naturally follow the heat line. So I use the edge of the flame to heat only the thickened lip and then shear it off. What is left is a lip that is straight and the same thickness as the wall of the bowl. From here, finishing the flare is a simple and straightforward process. My favorite flaring tool is my personal design, the Michelson egg. The parabolic curved shape enables me to touch the flare anywhere inside without leaving a mark from the tip. It is made by Taglia Tools and is available in 2 sizes. This is the small size. There's a link in the description for this tool. The next bowl I will make will be a rosé wine shape. This shape is broader and will have a slight kick to the lip. I have set this bubble up with 9.5mm handles and a blowhose instead of pulled points to demonstrate the difference in procedure. I've attached a blowhose to one end using a silicone boot and stoppered the other end using a silicone cork. There are advantages and disadvantages to doing it this way. I think it's useful to know how to approach this process using either technique. The first step is to shorten the bubble. I do this by heating the entire bubble as evenly as possible and pushing my handles together while gently blowing. This is much easier to do with the blowhose and handle setup than it would be using points. Then, once again, I focus my attention on the top of the bowl, refining the shape before flaring because I want to do as little shaping as possible with the flare. Now that my initial shaping is complete, I no longer need the blowhose, boot, or cork, so I remove them. I then remove the handle and shape the bottom as I did before. I add the transition bit and the 6mm handle in the same manner as I did for the flute. I remove the wobble from the setup using my hand trick. Now comes the flame cut, shearing and flaring of the lip, just like in the first demo. This flare is broader than the flute, and the kick adds an additional dimension of interest. If I have done everything right to this point, the resulting lip should be perfectly straight and round. The final bowl I will be making today is a Venetian shape. It is actually two shapes combined to give a classical line. The first thing I have to do is divide the bubble into two parts, one for each of the two shapes that compose this bowl. The bottom will be a flattened ovoid shape, while the top will be a flared bugle shape. I heat a narrow band about 1/3 of the way up from the bottom, and stretch the bubble just a little to create a slight constriction. This is where the top of the bowl will meet the bottom. Then I shape the bottom. I want the transition between the top and bottom to be fairly severe, so I puff out the bottom while pushing the handles together to create a short ovoid shape. I reheat the ovoid bottom around its widest part and push it even shorter, making an even more dramatic shape. Now I turn my attention to the top, heating and refining that part of the bubble until it conforms to my desired final shape. Remember, I do not want to shape with the flare any more than I have to. Finally, I want the transition between the two parts of the bubble to be a smooth hyperbolic shape, so I heat the area just above the bottom and pull slightly to create a nice tapered transition. I no longer need my blow hose, so I remove the boot and stopper from the setup. I burn off the handle and melt the bottom into a nice rounded shape with a thick spot in the middle. I add the transition bit and attach a 6mm handle. Again, I use my hand trick to move any remaining wobble to the other side of the setup. If you only learn one new trick from these demos, this is the one. This time, instead of flame cutting the handle, I remove it using the Affini-V constriction tool. There's a link to this tool in the description of the blown foot video. Then I use my pointy reamer to open the hole. Some people prefer to use classic jacks for this, and that's fine. It makes no difference in the end which tool you use. Just as I did in the other two bowls, I open the lip about halfway and then trim off the thickened lip using the shears. Remember, use the edge of the flame to heat only what you want to remove. The shears will follow the heat line. I use my large Michelson egg to open this flare. The parabolic curve of the egg allows me to affect any part of the flare from the lip to well down inside the bowl. I want the walls of the bowl to be a straight bugle shape, so I alternately paddle the outside and ream with the egg until I get the shape I want. Most people tend to overheat their glass. One of the keys to success when working in this style is to pay attention to the fourth of my 10 laws, the Goldilocks rule. Just enough heat to do the job and no more. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Share with your friends and come back here often. I'll be posting more videos soon. See you all next time.